The title of the message is IQ Checkup. You know, intelligence quotient. They have all these stupid little IQ tests. The test seems so ignorant to me, I wouldn't even take the test. But, you know, there is a way to test how smart your brain is. It's still not doing right. I just changed out the battery. I think that thing is probably kicking the bucket. Or let's see, maybe if I don't know, it should reach from here. I'm just going to yell. So y'all have to, we'll see how long my voice will last. Y'all can hear me okay, right? All right. Um, I like it loud enough you don't have a choice. Somebody said this: if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. That's right. You can't just float through life ignorantly and think everything's going to turn out okay. You still pay for being stupid. In the Bible, it's no different towards spiritual things. In John 10, the first thing we're going to see I call religious idiots. John 10, look at verse 6. John 10, verse 6. This is going to be definitely a two-parter. We'll finish it tonight, but I'll give you the soft side this morning, and then we'll pick up the heavy stuff tonight. The heavy stuff will be tonight. John 10, verse 6. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were, which he spake unto them. Bunch of idiots. He was speaking their language. It says they didn't understand it. They didn't get it. Well, we need to find out who the crowd is. Who is this group of retards that he's speaking to? Only a retard would be smarter than this. These people are ignorant because they've chosen to be. This was a choice. Who's the they? The they is easy to find. Chapter 9, verse 40. These idiots are supposed to be pretty smart. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Well, if you have to ask, as a matter of fact, they are. Now let's find the context for where these Pharisees showed up. Back up to verse 35. Jesus has just healed a blind man. Jesus heard that they had cast him out. And when he found him, he said unto him, Dost thou believe on the Son of God? And he answered and said, Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. People say that Jesus never claimed to be God. He did it over and over and over. Verse 38. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see might not, that they which see not might see. That is, like you, a blind man, he gave sight to. But he said, I can also go the other direction, and that they which see might be made blind. Ooh. So God says, you want to be blind? I'll help you with that. Verse 40, that's what we just read. The Pharisees come up and say, are we blind too? He says, you want some blindness? Abracadabra, you are. And they were blind. Verse 41, and Jesus saith unto them, if ye were blind, ye should have no sin. That is, he came to heal the blind. As John 9. John 9, verse 41. We started in 10. We went back to find out who they is. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth. That is, if you think you're fine on your own, you're full of sin, you need me to do something. And that's where they are. They understood the parable inasmuch as they knew what the elements were. They understood what a sheep is. They understood what a shepherd is. No doubt they understood what a robber and a thief are, because that's who they are. But they didn't understand what these things represented in the parable. Now, Jesus gave these parables over and over. And it was the public, the individual's job to identify and figure things out. Have you ever noticed that as you start to give spiritual truths to somebody, many times they don't understand it? It just flies right over their head. Don't feel bad. That was 90% of what happened when Jesus was talking. They didn't understand. He's always having to explain it and give it to them again and go slow with them. And then sometimes just say, you go think on it a while. Let that sink down in your ear. Understanding is a matter of accepting or rejecting light. That's what he's telling them. Just like the blind man. Look at it in John 12, verse 35. Understanding elements is simple. Making application is not so simple. That's where what the Bible term is called discernment. That is, knowing how to put the pieces together. John 12, verse 35. Then Jesus said unto them, Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you might be children of the light. These things spake Jesus, and departed, and did hide himself from them. He gave them the truth, then he played it out. He says, I'm the light. Walk while I'm here with you, while you got light. Now watch what happens when I'm not here. And he disappeared. Same with us. When God reveals a truth, you've got to act on it. If you don't act on it, you know what you've done? You've said, no, I don't want light. You do want something. You always crave something. It's either light or dark. You ask for one or the other. If you refuse light, you've accepted darkness. John 3, famous chapter. You know the famous verse, John 3:16. Well, we're going to drop down a couple. John 3:19. John 3:19. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. So if you like darkness, it's because you're evil. Now I know the verse said the deeds were evil, but it's you who is doing the deeds. So you're evil. Now, I'm not picking on you. It's everybody. If you're wearing flesh, you qualify. You like darkness. That's just natural. Verse 20. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. That's good. That's what you want. Let's get some Old Testament advice on it. Proverbs 28, verse 5. Proverbs 28, 5. He says, Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. So, if you open up a passage of the Bible and you don't understand it, where are you in that verse? You're in the first half of it. Evil men understand not judgment. So, don't ever open a passage of the Bible and say, I don't understand that. Find another way to word that. Say, God, give me more light on it, or I'm putting more pieces together. Don't admit to being an evil man. That's the first step in the process. He says it's the evil men that don't understand, but the opposite of that is they that seek the Lord understand all things. Obviously, the men Jesus has been speaking to, giving this parable to, are evil men because they don't understand the parable. Find a passage of Scripture. If you don't have understanding of it, then you know what you got to do. According to our verse in Proverbs, seek the Lord. Why? Because whoever seeks the Lord understands all things. So we know the Pharisees were not seeking the Lord. They were evil men. That's a whole lot of verses to say one thing. Isaiah 6. Isaiah 6. Isaiah 6, verse 9. Isaiah 6, 9, he says, and he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not. Now that's where Jesus is with the crowd. They could hear him. It wasn't a matter of volume. It wasn't a matter of having the right speaker. That was the voice that created heaven and earth. They heard him, but the hearing stopped right there at the ear canal. Hear ye indeed, but understand not. And see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and be converted, and be healed. Same message Jesus was saying in chapter 9. If you say that you've got sight, you're actually blind. If you say you're blind, I can give you sight. He said, these people that don't want light, that don't want truth, I'll give them more darkness and will prevent them from being converted. That's coming from God. Isaiah 56, verse 11. Isaiah 56, verse 11. Yea, they are greedy dogs. I like dogs, but I wouldn't like this kind. Which can never have enough. I think in the original Aramaic that said cats. Because that's our cats. Our cats, I'll tell you, they are food focused 24/7. If they can see a spot of the dish in the bottom of their bowl, all the food could be in there just pushed up against the side, and it's a full bowl. But if they can see a speck of the bottom of the bowl, I'm going to hear about it nonstop. Same way with these dogs. He said they're greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. That's the Pharisees. They were supposed to be guiding the people into spiritual matters. But he says these are shepherds that don't understand. Hear a preacher tell you that he doesn't understand all that doctrine stuff. That's where he is in the verse, a greedy dog. Now the verse goes on. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. These greedy dogs are only interested in number one. I'm going to pull a dirty trick on you, I know. Most people, once you get over the hurdle of letting the Bible say plainly what it says, then you become a doctrinal snob. You know, most people only go to the Bible for how it affects them. How are you going to bless me today, God? You're a greedy dog. According to the verse, they're only interested in their own way and what's their own gain. Matthew 13. Matthew 13, verse 13. Matthew 13, 13. Jesus made things difficult on purpose. Somebody tells you, I want a Bible that's easier to understand. Tell them that would not be godly. How did Jesus speak when he was here? He said things that were difficult to understand on purpose. Makes you study, makes you pay attention. Matthew 13, verse 13. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear, and ye shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and not perceive. Why? Because they're lazy. It's natural to want the easy stuff, which that's what you've got this morning. I'm just going to give you easy stuff. Tonight we'll get something hard. John 6, verse 60. John 6, verse 60. It says, many therefore of his disciples. Now that's a good crowd, the disciples. When they heard this, said, this is a hard saying. Who can hear it? So what's a parable? According to them, it's a saying. Now, it's not a saying from Yogi Bear. It's a saying from heaven, from God. So there are certain words, phrases, and sentences that come direct from God's mind through the mouth of Jesus Christ and whatever prophet he chooses to us. These people are saying, one way you can identify them is this: they're hard sayings. It'll be authoritative. Sure. That's the creator of the universe. When he says something, it's a fact. The whole Bible is law. The law of God. John 7, verse 36. They say, what manner of saying is this that he said, ye shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come. Isn't that the way he talked? Over and over. Difficult to understand. You got to go do some homework. Matter of fact, you got to ask the teacher, can I stay after class and get some extra credit? If I bring you an apple, will I get a bonus point? John 8, verse 27. John 8, verse 27. What do you think they would want to hear? He's preaching about God the Father. They understood not that he spake to them of the Father. The very subject they think they're the masters of, and they don't even understand it. That's typical. John 8, look at verse 43. John 8, 43. Jesus says, why do you not understand? Instead of sayings this time, it's my speech. Even because you cannot hear my word. That's the problem with people wanting a modern version. Now, a lot of times they're ignorant. Not by choice, just by stupidity. The one that's dangerous is the one who's chosen to be ignorant, who could understand and won't try. That's the one who's got problems. Those are the ones who knew what words meant, but they could not hear. They won't hear God's word. That's what Jesus said to the crowd he was preaching to. John 10, verse 19. The result of Jesus' parable. There was a division, therefore, among them. Again, I can't read. There was a division, therefore, again among the Jews for these sayings. Over and over, it's talking about a parable, and it calls it a saying. It's witty wisdom, one-liners from God. Those will do you some good. 1 Corinthians 2, verse 14, the verse we've all got memorized. He says, but the natural man receiveth not the, what's that word? Things of the Spirit of God. Now, we're going to get, by accident, we're going to get a definition of what God thinks a parable is by comparing all these verses and what he said the elements are. He says, the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are the thing they lacked, spiritually discerned. Just because you understand the words doesn't mean you discern the words. You know how to apply them. John 10, verse 6, our text. John 10, verse 6. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. So this parable is about things, elements. And the elements here are supposed to be discerned by the crowd. We are smart, aren't we? I'm setting you up. We know this parable. It's about the good shepherd and the sheep and the fold, and he's the door. We know that this passage. And when you go home, read the passage, because tonight we'll delve into it deeper. And I'll tell you why you need to know it, because you may not really know what it means. You might find you're just like the people in the crowd. You got an idea what the things mean, but you don't have a clue until you've studied it. Now let me prove it to you. John 10, verse 16. Jesus speaking. And other sheep have I, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. What in the world does that mean? Are you one of the Pharisees that don't understand it? Well, if you're honest, you might say, I'm getting understanding. Lord's going to help me. Lord, help me. Our assignment, John 10, verse 1 to 18. Go home and read that. And then identify some of these elements, these things in it. What's the door? What's the sheep? And what's the pasture? These are elements in the parable. Identify what those things are. Now, you can identify both doctrinally and devotionally. That is, put a spiritual application on it. That's good. That'll convict you. But that won't tell you what it means. Get a doctrinal application. What it means right where it sets in the people he was talking to. Then you'll have the full implication of what it means. The people in the crowd when Jesus was speaking did not. And it was them he was speaking to. So let's find those, and tonight we'll cover the parable.